Hey gals, guys, and everybody in between. My name is Andrea, and this is the first video of a series of videos I'll be putting out this Thanksgiving week 2025. It's currently November 24th, almost exactly 1 year ago, minus 3 days. I underwent facial feminization surgery at Rush University in Chicago, and my surgeon was Dr. Michael Eggerstedt. Now, Dr. Eggerstedt was actually a risk that I took. For my research, he's done between 300 and 400 facial feminization surgeries, but he specializes in reconstructive care around the face, ears, nose, brow bone, neck, that kind of thing. Now, I do want to address the elephant in the room, or rather the apple in the room. I've called this my Eve's apple for about the past 10 years. That came out when I was 19 in 2015. And it was actually the very first thing on my body in my life that I felt dysphoria towards when I was 12 or 13. And I didn't know why I didn't like it. So the timeline of me having this grown in my first puberty when I was 12 or 13 to last year was about 17 years. Now they did cut into here. See the scar? But the only thing is that when they did it on the chin, they wanted to make sure it was not visible to people. That would be the only thing I would want to change about the surgery. And I actually am getting a revision done this coming year. I had my consultation for vaginoplasty this past May 2nd. And they gave me an estimated date of spring 2026 for that surgery. And I'm actually going to be undergoing this surgery at the same time, a revision. I think the official name is chondrolaryngoplasty or something like that. So essentially it's an Adam's apple reduction, and they're going to be cutting from right here this time. That's the one thing I would change if I were to go back. And I do advise that if you are looking into facial feminization surgery, if you do have a little bit more of a more prominent neck and you're looking for that surgery, please go for the surgery that has them on the neck and not under the chin. They usually try to go by your natural folds in your chin. They try to use one of those because it did heal and it was swollen. And I remember waking up from surgery and having them take off the wrappings the next day on day 2 and feeling my neck. I didn't feel anything. I remember looking in the mirror, being like this. I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. It's finally gone, and everything healed up, and it actually is only about 10% less than it was at one point. They cut open this here, and they put a camera down, and they were trying to probe and probe at my vocal cords to see how far they could go without having any damage. One of my videos, which I'm going to entitle the FFS Chronicles, is actually a video series of vlog-style videos that I did with my phone recovering from surgery. You'll notice that I wake up from surgery with a very, very deep voice. And as the videos go on, you can kind of see my voice kind of getting higher. I did not get vocal feminization surgery, but that is something that I would like to at some point. But that would be the 3rd time they prod into my neck, and I want to wait at least 5 to 10 years before that. My neck, unfortunately, does still cause me a huge amount of dysphoria, and I will still get clocked from the side if they see my throat right here. About 70 to 80% of the time when someone looks at me from the side and they're looking at my profile, I will get misgendered, unfortunately. But of course, if they're not focusing on my actual face and they see me, my side profile, I mean, I got boobs, so they didn't do a nose job. They actually wanted to do 2 surgery dates 2 months apart, and one just for my nose, and I couldn't afford to take that much time off of work. So I just got brow bone, I got my jaw, chin, and then I got this, which unfortunately wasn't a success. When I went for surgery, I wanted to have a very natural looking, minimal, but I realized now that I should have gone for a little bit more feminizing, a little bit more rounder appearance. But with that being said, I am also the same weight that I was the day after surgery. I haven't been able to gain any weight. And so when you see my 1-year picture collage, whether it's the short one with the music or the extended version, it's important to note that I am the same weight. I haven't gained weight, lost weight. I've stayed right the same weight this entire year. I have my computer in front of me so I can read you the official names of the surgeries that they did to me. So the first one they did was Bicoronal approach with forehead recontouring, and that was CPT 21137. Then they did a pericranial flap. That's CPT 20922. They did an open bicoronal brow lift. That's CPT 67900. They did a mandibular recontouring through bilateral transoral approaches, and that's CPT 21209-50. They did a reduction genioplasty through transoral approach, and that's CPT 21122. And they also did a submental approach to chondrolaryngoplasty of the thyroid cartilage, which is CPT 31750. I also want to note that in the past year, before you see the rest of my videos, that there has been so much more that's happened than just surgery. On November 26th last year, the day before surgery, I ventured out to my best friend and his partner's house where I recovered from the surgery for the next month until, I think, Christmas Day. So the whole month of December I was recovering there, as my roommate, who was very distraught, could not take care of me, whereas my best friend could and did take care of me. They housed me, helped me get around, helped bathe me. We went to checkup appointments. He helped me get the jaw bra on the first couple times. That went from basically here all the way up to the top of my head and kind of had like Velcro that it would kind of pull up like this. They call it the jaw bra. On December 25th, I attempted to go back to my roommate relationship and move back in there at the apartment we had got in September. And that lasted all of about a month, I believe, before I had my first try to off myself in 10 years. I had had 7 attempts from 2014 to 2015. And then February 3rd of this year, early in the morning, I attempted to off myself again. Now, it was a direct cause because of my roommate and the things that he had put me through in the past year or so. All the alienation and gaslighting and just pure, utter betrayal. For the first 4 days, I was on a constant IV for those 4 days, and then spent 5 days in the psych center. And while I was in there, I had a lot of time to think. And when I came out of there, I had the plan of leaving that apartment and that roommate, who I'd actually grown to be like family, like really close family. I had taken him to every single doctor's appointment for the past year, and it was like 2 appointments every week basically for the past year. I had brought him to Chicago for his top surgery in April, stayed there with him for 2 nights, helped him with everything post-surgery. I gave him a sense of family and commonality. And it's also worth noting that from January to September last year, we lived in a dingy, cheap hotel room for $900 a month. My family gave me a lot of space, and they weren't sure what was going on. And when February came around and my dad visited me in the hospital, he said that I could come live with him for a little bit while I figured things out. Then about a week after I got out of the hospital, I packed up a few things, enough for a couple months, and moved into my dad's. And then got a U-Haul about 2 weeks later and got everything out of there. My roommate had left like half of his things in the apartment, and I was the one that had to pay for the removal of all of it. He was posting on Facebook all these things I had apparently done to him, which led to him telling people on his Facebook page where I lived, where I worked, what position I held. And then finally one day he started telling people my dead name, my old name that I haven't used in 10 years, not my legal name for the past 4 years. That's when I said enough was enough, and I made a big long Facebook post because this person was not stable at all. So backtracking back to February, when I got out of the hospital, I took my first shot for the first time in essentially 2 weeks. And this actually led to my body producing way more estrogen than I needed. So my levels were in the 700s for the first time. And I was getting all the side effects possible, itchiness, numbness, and my emotions started getting really overwhelmed. Before this, I think I had actually had like maybe 2 times I cried in my entire transition of the past 3 years at this point. And now, even after I got my levels back to a normal level, my emotional response and being very sensitive and having a lot of times where I do cry myself to sleep a lot, that has stayed. It's a very common thing for me now, and so I was able to get back on pills, estrogen pills, about 2 months ago now. I was doing shots for the last 2.5 years, and the year and a half before that I was doing pills. But because of the reason that I was in the hospital, they wouldn't allow me to have shots or needles because it was a sharp object and they didn't want me around sharp objects for obvious reasons. So from the end of February to the end of June, I basically saved up all my money I possibly could and saved up for a down payment on an apartment And I moved into the apartment on June 30th this year, and I've been there since. So July 30th, August, September, October, so almost 5 months. I've been here almost 5 months. But this week I'm actually at a different place. I'm at my best friend's house, pet sitting, puppy sitting, nephew sitting, I suppose, because my Beau Bear's my nephew, while they're in Florida. Not the greatest place to be as a trans person right now. As much as I would have liked to go, I don't believe that I would have had the money saved up, because most of the money was spent essentially for the apartment and getting settled, getting furniture, the whole gist. On July 17th this year, I went and got bangs for the first time in 13 years since I was in high school. And I, to this day, consider it the best $60 I ever spent. It looks so different and wonderful, and I really, really like the bangs. My phone doesn't actually recognize me anymore. I found that it really accentuates my face shape. I really like the way it turned out. I'm able to keep my bangs trimmed up all by myself. And it also helped kind of cover up my scar from my, let's see if I can find it. Can you see it there? Is that it? Yeah. Kind of goes across there. Basically, they went from 1 inch behind the hairline when they did my surgery, and they didn't go across the forehead, which is something that I really liked, and I'm glad that they didn't do across my forehead, because most people do have it across their forehead. So basically what they did is they were able to condense my brow bone. They did that by actually cutting out a piece from my sinus here, shaving it down and putting it back in, and they have like these little studs that are actually like right behind my hairline here. There's 2 there and 2 there. And the bangs kind of helped cushion that, because I couldn't sleep on my side until I actually got these bangs. They provide a little bit of a cushion. And so I do hope you watch the rest of the series. According to my list here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos for this series. The first video is going to be a shortened 2-minute version of the 10-minute version of the time lapse I took for the past year, specifically the first 2 months from every angle. And that one's going to have a song. There's going to be, the second one is going to be a 10-minute version, and it's going to have no music. The third video is considered this video here. For the fourth video, I'm going to be reading out of here my journal or diary entries from those days for the entirety of my recovery process, so basically the first 2 to 3 weeks. The fifth video is going to be me reading the 3 or 4 page document that I had from the first couple days being in the hospital that I wrote a couple days after. The fifth video is going to be actually what I call the FFS Chronicles, or the Facial Feminization Surgery Chronicles. And that's a series that I'm just talking about that was vlog style, that I was recording the recovery process and basically everything going on in my life at that point. And that's going to be about, from what I remember, 20-25 minutes total. That wraps up this first video for this series, and I do encourage you to hit the follow button over there, should be over there, and comment and like and share if you like. I can't wait to upload all these videos. I'm so excited. I've been working on this for a very long time. Editing takes a long time. Recovery takes a long time, and I'm so glad that I can finally share this with you. So until the next video, I'm gonna see you gals, guys, and everybody in between very soon. Bye. Love, Andrea.